My name is Maria and I talk money on this channel. Before we get started on this video, let's just take a moment to focus on the verse of the day, which I'll post right here. Thanks to God for everything that I am able to express on camera and to the opportunities that I have in order to be able to talk about these topics and share along with you with this platform. This video coming up is actually a video that I had posted in my original OG first channel, which is my baby from like 2011. But this is a video that I made back in the day, back in 2020, where I talked about some financial stuff. And so I actually wanted to repost it here on this channel and delete from the other one, because not only is it more relevant to this situation here in terms of like the talks that we focus on in this channel, but also I wanted to express, although it's 5 years later, I did want to mention how some of the disciplinary actions that I took in order to be able to achieve what I did in that video, which was pay off my student loans in under 2 years time, basically by myself, how some of those actions are still relevant to me today, even though my life circumstances have changed. Before we do that, please make sure to subscribe if you are into any types of money talk, any financial topics that you like to see other people talk about and such. Please consider subscribing. I am in no way a financial advisor or a financial expert of any sort. If you need professional advice, please seek that from either a banking institution or some type of professional that you can find on the web or local office in your area. However, this is just a girl talking about her personal finance journey on YouTube, and so take that with a grain of salt. I'm not telling you what to do with your money or how to utilize it or whatever, but I am here to spread my message, and maybe it inspires you to kind of do the same. And let's just get into the video. So my baby, I'm not sure if you guys can hear her in the background. She is just waking up from her nap, so I will make this a little bit quick. So I have my notes over here, so in case you see me looking down, that's part of the reason why. I wanted to make this section of the video before I show you guys the exact same video that I posted 5 years ago on my other channel. It's no longer available on that channel, so I just want to kind of preface that video with some things here from me 5 years later. So I wanted to emphasize specifically the things that have changed ever since I made that video. I do go into like a lot of detail as to my circumstances at the time, and so I wanted to focus on that. But also I wanted to share that I want to take away the stigma that if you talk about money on YouTube or even within your friends, your colleagues, whatever social groups that you may be a part of, it's not a bad thing to talk about specific money, whether cents or whether specific salary amounts or whatever. We can be open about our salary with anybody who we want to, as long as you're not coming off in a boastful way. I did make a lot of comments in that video where I wasn't even making that much money at the time, but I wanted to be humble enough to say, like, I'm not bragging at all about the money figures that I was making. At the time, I thought that I was making really good money, and I was, thank God, for that period of my life where I was fully full-time employed at the time of my graduation from university. So it's not like I was like hunting down and searching for job applications to hand in my resume and such. That was kind of taken care of, praise God. But I did want to emphasize that it's not a bad thing to talk about whether exact money figures that you get at the end of every paycheck or salary figures at the end of the year. Rewatching my video, I did kind of find it annoying that I kept on saying that as if I wasn't making that much money to begin with. But also, there's nothing wrong with whether you make $500 a month or $5,000 a month. There's nothing wrong with you sharing your stuff as long as you do it from a humble position of just wanting to share the information and just wanting to teach others for their betterment, for their improvement in their financial ways and habits and such. As long as you're not coming from a very boastful or prideful and even arrogant manner, I feel like it's fine to talk about money. That being said, moving forward, I'm not sure how exactly in detail I will be sharing my money here on this channel, but I did just kind of want to say that prior to you guys watching this video. Okay, and now onto the things that have changed ever since the time that I made the video. As a recap, I made that video at the beginning of 2020, so it was before the 6-month mark of 2020. As you guys were not born yesterday, you guys will remember that the pandemic had just been officially announced as an actual pandemic. A lot of circumstances were granted to us students and recent grads in order to be able to afford being able to make payments and such towards our student loans. Besides that, at the time I was working at a grocery store, and so because I was considered an essential worker, and at the time of the huge fiasco that was the announcement of the pandemic for COVID, I did make extra $2 an hour because I was an essential worker. And besides that, a lot of my colleagues did stop working because they didn't feel safe going into work, and therefore I was working 60 hours at the time, not just the regular 40 that a full-time employee does. And so that comes with obviously its benefits of more money at the end of the day. And I think that's the only like contextual factors that need to be considered. But anyway, going on point by point that I have written down here in my notes, things that are different, not necessarily like negative or positive in any particular category or whatever. You guys will make that conclusion yourself. At the time, I didn't pay rent because I was living with my mom under her roof, and my mom just didn't charge myself or my brother rent. My brother was at the time completing his studies elsewhere, but I myself in my mom's house was not paying rent. That's something that is now changed as of today. I pay rent. Next, I'm married and I have 2 kids, and by 2 kids I mean my actual biological daughter and I have my stepson. So with that comes groceries and internet and all those things that again I didn't pay at the time when I lived with my mom. Factor number 3, I have more income. So at the time of filming the video, I mentioned that I didn't share specific numbers. I did just say that at the end of a 2-week period I did have more than $1,000 to be able to put in towards my student loan. And now this time around I do make more money, significantly more money, and so now I have more than $1,500 every 2 weeks that I can play around. I do get paid on a bi-weekly basis. Not bi-weekly. I get paid, yeah, no, I get paid on the 15th, on the, what is it called? In Spanish, it's just called quincenal, so on the 15th and the last day of the month. Instead of being paid every 2 weeks, I get paid exactly on the halfway mark of the month and then on the last day of the month. For example, months like July and August that sometimes have 5 weeks and therefore 3 paydays, I don't get affected by that. In comparison to my job at the time, I did get paid every 2 weeks. Another factor that I did think it was important is that I have no external memberships, such as the gym. Another thing here is that I have a car now in comparison to before. I didn't drive at the time. I had my license and everything, but I didn't have my own car. I didn't make car payments and I did not have car insurance to pay for. Currently with the car and the vehicle that we have, I don't make the car loan payment. That's on my husband. I just pay for the insurance for the car. And the last thing I'll say, something that I'm not sure that if I'll talk about in more detail in a future video, I'll just kind of briefly talk about it here, but I have massive debt. That does have to do with the fact that we are a bigger family now, and that does have to do with the fact that I pay rent, and so like my money mandatorily has to go in some compartments before it ends up paying the bill. Unfortunately, I do have to focus my money obviously on some necessities first, such as groceries and rent and being able to feed the mouths that are in this house. And so unlike before where I didn't pay for groceries and it was only like my mom and I really living in her house, now we have 4 people and 2 working adults. Obviously half the people don't work, but they consume just as much money's worth of food and clothes and stuff like that during the month. There's definitely not a complaint to me having the family that I have. Thank God for everything that I have, and thank God that I have the means of being able to nonetheless get those items paid for, regardless of whether I'm getting myself more into debt. At least nobody's going hungry or getting sick because they haven't eaten enough food. But I do have massive debt, and because of other circumstances as well, even before the kids kind of came along. Again, I'm not sure I will be making a video with full details about that, but if you guys are interested, please let me know downstairs. Within my debt, that includes my credit cards and my line of credits, roughly around $50,000. That is a mixture of all the credit cards that I have and the one line of credit that I have. I don't have any loans, unlike at the time I had my student loans. I mentioned in the video that you guys have to take in your life circumstances at the time and focus on that. Do with the advice that, or whatever it is that I talk about in that video, use it to however it's applicable in your life. How my life is now is not the same as it was 5 years ago, and so I have to take those disciplinary and like foundational advice or tips and tricks, if you want to call it that, and fit them to how my life is right now. Obviously, if I, as mentioned before, I pay rent, I have kids, etc., I'm not going to be able to do the same things as Maria back in the day would, who didn't pay rent, who didn't have kids, who didn't have a car, etc. Nonetheless, the tips that I say in this video coming up are very useful, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. So yeah, that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Not only the factors that are now different since the time that I made the video, I hope that you guys look forward to the video that is up ahead. That is a very long video plus this little segment that I'm including here, so I hope that you guys stick around for the entirety of the video. It is really helpful, and it did have a lot of people who watched that video let me know that they really appreciated the, whether you want to call it advice, tips and tricks, just explanation of the journey that I took and the disciplinary action that I took for myself in order to be able to accomplish the goal that was pay off my student loans in less than 2 years. Those still stand by me today. Obviously my circumstances are different, but the disciplinary action, the foundation of me being more disciplined and working with my money in the way that best suits our situation while getting rid of this debt, afford and sometimes not even afford the things that I have, it is what it is. But the foundational tips and tricks that I talk about in that video 5 years ago, I think Maria would be proud to have published that video, and it have helped so many people, plus Maria 5 years later. I'll get to showing you guys the video right now. Thanks so much for watching, and now enjoy the video. I'm about to finish my payment. And I just want this for the record because, like, why not? I'm about to submit my final amount. I'm gonna add it to my thing as of what is today, April 29th of 2020. Boom. All right. And I did it. That's it. I finished paying my student loans. Yee. That's it. What's good, mi gente? It's Maya today again, and welcome back again to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, then thank you so much for joining back again this week. Thank you again so much for watching another video of mine, and if you guys are new here, welcome. I'm always down to make new friendships here online, so if you guys are interested in watching some more of my videos and hearing some more of my perspectives, then make sure to hit the red button down below to subscribe, turn it from red to white, and you'll be updated every single time that I upload a new video, but only if you click the little notification bell right beside the subscribe button. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy during this whole quarantine situation. I'm still working 40 hours at work, so obviously I'm still not exactly the most free to make videos and everything, but I am here filming a video today and hopefully another one later on today as well. So stay tuned for that. But for now, I just want to wish you guys all good health, and I hope that you guys are staying a little bit entertained during the quarantine, and hopefully my video kind of serves that purpose a little bit, if you want to call it that. But whatever serves to you, whether it's happiness, a smile, just a little bit of comedic relief or whatever, I hope that I do that for you. Getting on to the video for today, I am going to be talking about a different topic today, which I think is kind of important in the North American society, because as a recent graduate from university, I have the good news that I have finally paid off my student loans in just under 2 years. I have the exact numbers and everything. I have my laptop here set up beside me, so if I need to refer to numbers to specifically give to you guys, I have that available, and we good to go. If I also happen to be looking down here, it's because my phone is here with some important notes that I feel like I have to tell you guys. Don't mind that. I'm just trying to give you guys the most accurate information. And before I start the actual content of the video, I would like to start off with two things. One, I would like to point out the fact that everyone's lifestyle is different, everyone's income is different, everyone's certain circumstances at home and financial situation is different, as well as whether you even had loans to begin with. So maybe this doesn't apply to your student loans if you are not a student or a recent graduate, or maybe you had all your loans, grants, and everything taken care of by your parents or by a family member. So use this video in however way it benefits you, in whatever way it applies to your life, whether that's saving up for a car, whether that's saving up for the down payment of a house. Do it in however way that benefits you or however it applies to your life. Everyone's lifestyle is different, and I'm just talking based on my perspective, but I hope either way it is helpful to you guys. And based on that, the second thing that I would like to bring up to the table is a really helpful channel that has kind of helped me now that I'm done paying my loans, or even prior to finishing my last payment. A channel that has really pointed out very useful tips and tricks to save, to budget, or different apps that can help you budget, useful information about bank accounts and everything like that. Her name is Natalie, and she's actually somebody who I met in university. She's Ecuadorian, so shout out to Latinas in the YouTube world making you know, movements and everything, and just in life in general. She is not a financial advisor, but she is very educated on many financial topics, such as, you know, differences between TFSAs and RRSPs, information that's very useful if you're looking into investing or like buying stocks, selling stocks, and everything. Like I said, her name is Natalie, but her actual YouTube name is The Financial Talk, your safe place to talk money. So I'll leave it somewhere up here on the screen if you guys are interested, and it'll also be in the description down below if you guys are interested in following her for some tips and tricks when it comes to financial related decisions that you may make in your adult life. So once again, The Financial Talk, and she's also on Instagram, but again, all that will be down below. So getting on to the topic of today, the actual content of the video, which is the fact that I paid off my student loans. So to give you guys a little bit of context, I finished my classes of my undergrad degree back in December of 2018, and then I graduated in June of 2019. So in those 6 months, that was my grace period, and this may also change province to province, state to state, country to country. So just always, in general, just ask advice from your financial aid office at your school. The grace period here in Ontario in Canada is a 6-month period that you are not expected to necessarily start paying off your loans, but it is an interest-free period where if you do make payments, there's no interest accumulated in your student loans. That's important because you have 6 months to pay without interest being accumulated. So if you were to pay, let's say, $20,000 in those 6 months, then it's just the $20,000 that you are paying in that month instead of $20,000 plus whatever interest may have accumulated for the 6 months there. June of 2019 to December of 2019, I had actually also applied for the RAP program, which is the Repayment Assistance Program here in Ontario. Essentially what it is that some families, some individuals may be eligible for some financial aid, also take away that interest for another 6 months, as well as reduce your monthly expected payment because of your financial situation at home. But essentially I applied for that for July, sorry, it was July, not June. July to December of 2019, and I did get that approved. So my payments did go down, and again, I will show all the numbers once I kind of get this context out of the way. And then my RAP program had ended or terminated. I had applied again for it, but I was denied it. I don't know why, but whatever. They have their logistics. But anyways, from December of 2019, I reapplied for the repayment program, and that was denied. So then from 2020, January to April, I was completely off the program. So I was getting interest billed, and my expected payment per month was higher because I was no longer in the RAP program, if that all makes sense. So to get into some financial details, so I'm looking down at my computer here, so that's why I am looking here. I finished my studies in December, but I had actually started paying some loan payments towards my part-time loans. That's another thing. You also have to consider not only the different lifestyle that you guys have compared to other people, but you also may have multiple loans just because of what kind of studies you undertook. So in summer school, as you guys know, I did summer school pretty much all of high school and all of university, but this is just regarding to university. So in university, every single summer school, I would take part-time studies. So I would always have a different type of loan. It's a different type of loan, even though it is under OSAP. And because part-time studies are way less than my full-time studies, at least for me, which were basically every September to April of every single year from 2013 to 2018, it was a lot less of an amount. My initial amount for my part-time studies were $2,733, and I ended up paying them off within 3 payments. I believe I paid them off all in a matter of 2 weeks. Yeah, because my first payment was November 14th and my last payment was November 28th. And because interest was accumulating and everything, I paid a total of $2,741 with 46 cents. And that's just for my part-time studies. And now for my full-time studies, my initial amount that I had originally had to pay was $23,963. I started paying those off on December 5th of 2018. Once I was done my classes, I made it a goal of mine to start paying off my loans, just because it was a huge goal of mine. My last day of paying my loans was actually very recently. It was April 29th of 2020, and the final amount that I had paid after all interest accumulated throughout the years and everything was $24,610 with 64 cents. So those are just the numbers I'm giving you guys. I don't want you guys to think that because I was able to pay everything in under 2 years, that means that, you know, I'm rich or anything. Like I said, everyone's financial situation is different, and I did have some help along the way. I'm not sure if it happens in every single country, but basically tax return is where the government compares whether you owe taxes or they owe you money. My tax return for the 2019 season, because I worked so much, I was a full-time employee and everything at my job, I was able to get $4,000 or so back. I actually think it was close to $5,000 because I think it was $4,900 that I got back. All that went towards my student loans. Any money that I had received, whether if it was for my birthday, for graduation presents, literally Christmas, any single monetary good that I had received was all going towards my loans. That was a very specific goal of mine, which I'll get into about discipline and everything. That was a very specific goal of mine that I wanted to pay off very, very soon. So any monetary goods that I had received, whether it was a gift, financial aid from family members because they knew that I had this in mind, all that went towards my student loan. Now, to get into more specifics about me, I was able to put a big chunk of my money towards my student loan payments every single month. I was lucky enough that by the time I had finished my studies in university, I was able to be offered a full-time position at my job. My full-time position not only allowed me to work more hours, aka 40 instead of just like the typical part-time 20 or 28 hours a week, but because I was also being promoted to another position, my wage did go up. Not to share my wage here or anything, but let's just say that at the end of a 2-week payroll, I was getting more than $1,000. Again, this is not to gas myself up. This is not at all to brag about my money, but this is just to share my certain circumstances, because these are the things that may have allowed me to be paying off my student loans within 2 years rather than, you know, in 10 years or something. Another thing that I would like to share is that not only did I pay $1,000 portions towards my student loans every single 2 weeks, but I also had for a while been saving up in a TFSA, which again, the financial talk can kind of help you out with those kind of topics. If you just subscribe to our channel, just look up her videos. But I was saving up in a TFSA to pay off my loans, and by the time I had finished taking my courses, I had, I believe, $6,000 saved up. However, what I chose to do was that every single payment that I would receive in my bank account because of my payroll, preferably use that money to pay off my student loans rather than going into the TFSA that I had specifically started to pay off my student loans. I would touch that money as an emergency kind of thing, or my last $6,000. I would use that as a secondary source rather than like my principal source, which was my income. Some other facts about me: I don't personally pay for groceries here in the house. I live with my family, but I don't contribute to the groceries of the house. I do other things around the house. Don't think I'm just a lazy bum who gets money and doesn't pay for shit. I do pay for my own things. I never really ask for people to buy me things or to get financial aid in whatever way possible. The only things that I paid for are my bills, such as my Visa or my cell phone bills. I don't drive, so I don't have either car insurance or car payments to make. I just take the bus, which now in quarantine isn't really like a thing because public transportation is free right now. I really don't take Uber. I don't eat out that much, and I made it a goal of mine. The little that I ate outside of the house was reduced even more, so I could save money in order to pay my loans. I think those are all the details that you guys have to know. Well, I do have life insurance and I did have a gym membership and all those things. That's something that you guys are gonna have to figure out for yourselves, like what are your expenses. And again, the financial talk can really help you out with setting up an Excel sheet to figure out your fixed expenses and everything. But my fixed expenses for the months were typically automatic withdrawals that would go from my checking account to my other accounts, such as like a savings or my TFSAs of all sorts, my life insurance, my gym membership, and that's pretty much it. And then the obligatory or the mandatory payment that I would have to make every month towards the NSLC, aka those in charge of my loans, and my cell phone bill. So then I would just figure out essentially in that 2-week period between one paycheck and the next, how many fixed expenses would I have, whether automatic or not, and how much do I have left for whether it's spending. I would leave that little amount in my checking. That way, for example, if I needed to buy something, whether it was food or like a fun little purchase, a want and not a need, I would leave that little room. But whatever difference there was between my payroll, take away my fixed expenses and the little fun room that I had to like kind of like spend for myself, that portion I would put towards my student loans, if that makes sense. So like I said, when it comes to payments, I would always try to do $1,000 payments every single 2 weeks. And when I finished my studies, like I said, I had with my full-time studies, I had basically $24,000 to pay off. And I told myself, okay, if in every 2 weeks I can pay $1,000, that means in 12 months I can pay $24,000. Because if you think about it, 12 months in a year, that would equate to $12,000 if I'm only paying $1,000 every month. But because I was paying $2,000 every single month, aka divided by 2 weeks, or sometimes even $3,000 a month, depending if there was a three payday month, such as July or August, that would definitely help me pay it off way sooner. So based on your income, based on your fixed expenses, based on all these things that you have to consider about your particular lifestyle, I would suggest making down a list of a realistic goal date that you can write for yourself in order to pay off a student loan, or whether it's saving up for a car, saving up for the down payment of a house, whatever it is that you're trying to save up for. If you pay rent, obviously that may be a little bit different. And also if you have a spouse or kids versus if you are single, don't pay rent, don't pay groceries, and your minimal expenses are just like your cell phone bill and all those things. I'm very fortunate that I kind of had that taken off my chest. And even though majority of my payments were just out of my pocket, I'm happy to know that at least I don't have those expenses kind of like weighing me down. Everyone gets there in a different method. Everyone will get there at a different time whenever their bank account is ready to do so. And obviously it is a mental thing to commit to paying student loans, especially something so big as like $24,000. That's huge for me. That's like a down payment of a house in and of itself. The fact that I have paid that off, but in student loans, it is a huge accomplishment. But obviously some people, such as international students or PhD students, have a lot more expenses in terms of the money that they use for their school. That obviously is a lot more for them than it is for me. So I'm grateful that not only was I able to pay off such a big amount in little time, but I'm grateful that my loans were not so much higher. Some people I've heard have $30,000 or $40,000 or even $50,000 worth of loans, not including other debts and stuff like that they may have. But anyways, okay, so like I was telling you guys earlier, the repayment period that I had from ending my classes to the day that I graduated, I had that grace period. So I wasn't expected to make payments, but I was still making payments just because that was a thing that I really wanted to get out of. If you are not building interest, or if you are not expected to make payments towards a loan or whatever it is, I would still suggest that you make the payments just so things go by quicker. So for me personally, December of 2018 to June of 2019, I was not expected to make payments, yet I had made close to $2,500 worth of payments. Now when the grace period had ended, I had the wrap period application that I had applied for, and luckily it was accepted and approved. From July of 2019 to December of 2019, I was expected to make payments, but they were a lot lower than had I not applied for the repayment assistance program. I was expected to pay $262.76 at the last day of every month, but because I had applied for the wrap program, and again, not saying that you will automatically be or approved for it, I do have to meet certain financial criteria. So then my payments went down from $262 a month to roughly $81.65. So instead of paying $260, I was paying $180 less at the end of the month mandatorily. So I was still making payments at the in between, but I wasn't making a forced $262 at the end of the month. So to be a little bit more concrete and basically more clear for you guys, instead of just paying $81.65 at the last day of every month, even then I was still making bi-weekly payments. So the last day of the month, which is the 30th or the 31st of every month, whatever, $81.65 would be taken out of my account, but I would also every couple weeks be making big chunks of payments. In July, I was making only $300 payments because something was going on with my payroll from July to October, so I actually wasn't getting as much as I should have been, but in October that all kind of got back paid to me, so I was able to make a big payment. But anyways, $300 payments every single 2 weeks, $500 if possible, and I was sometimes taking from that TFSA that I was telling you guys earlier, just because I wanted to pay off $1,000 every 2 weeks instead of just $300. So the difference would just come from my TFSA. But I would always try to put money back into the TFSA so I would accumulate interest for me. When that whole thing got sorted out in October, I was able to start making payments of close to $1,000. My minimum payment was usually $700, but if I couldn't, I would, like I said, pay the difference with the TFSA that I was saving up for. Regardless. And then at the end of 2019, the last day of my mandatory payment of $81 was December 31st of 2019, and it was expected of me to apply again for the RAP program. I didn't get it approved this time, so then by the end of every month in 2020, I did have to start making payments of $262.76. And just a reminder throughout the video, I'm not bragging about the numbers that I'm giving you guys. I am just literally sharing concrete details in case your situation is a little bit similar to mine, that you guys kind of have a perspective of like what to do or what at least worked out for me. I'm not telling anybody to do anything in particular, this is just what worked for me. So then here in March, on March 19th, that's the day that I got my tax refunded to me by the government. Luckily, it was a huge portion of mine that took at least 3 months of payments off of my personal income that I had to do. $4,900 went towards my loans that single day instead of coming out of my pocket. It's my money anyways that's getting returned to me, but at least it's $4,900 that I didn't have to necessarily like work for again. Just 2 weeks later, it was announced that the pandemic was about to be official. So when it comes to that, OSAP, the NSLC, everybody in charge of these loans and even bank accounts and everything decided that there would be no interest being built on the loans that students had, and also no payments were expected of you. Of course, you can make payments if you want to, but this was an interest-free, no payment necessary kind of period. A lot of people weren't going to work, a lot of people couldn't get back to work, a lot of people were working way reduced hours or simply just did not want to go to work because they felt unsafe. So a lot of these obligatory actions, such as paying a minimum of $300 or $150 or whatever it is that your minimum payment a month was, that not only was taken away but also the interest, because why are we going to build interest on an account that's not being paid for because people are not being able to work? At least that's my theory, that's how it works, but it worked out for me. So then I even wrote here on my Excel sheet that automatic payments put on pause due to the COVID-19 situation. No interest will be built until September 30th of 2020. So then when I got that email, I was like, listen, this is my time to shine, baby. Let's get these payments on a roll. So now that not only I wasn't expected to make payments and interest is not being built in my account, hello, I'm gonna take all the opportunity that I can to get these payments done ASAP so I can finish these loans, because if the COVID situation were to end, which everybody wants it to, but in terms of this financial blessing and miracle, I had to take advantage of it. So the announcement was made March 28th, 2020, and then just a month later, plus 1 day, I was able to pay off my student loans. Every single 2 weeks, I would pay $1,000, $1,000. And then something happened with my finger in February where I had injured it, and I applied for financial aid from an insurance company that I work with a lot of workplaces if there is an injury at work for an employee. All that payment, recompensation, whatever you want to call it, because of my finger, I put all that towards my student loans. So at the end of it all, dollar after dollar after dollar, I did it. And I had the calculation on my Instagram post. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, I'll put it right here on the screen. But on the caption that I had placed in my photo of finally being debt free, 532 days later, and that's from the first day of me making payments to the last day of me making payments, I was very happy that I was able to do that 95% on my own. Like I said before, I had help from some of my family members who granted me some money. Every once in a while, my family would just send me money, not for anything particular. We send each other money all the time just to like kind of help with groceries and stuff. But whether it was a $10 gift card that my friends gave me or actual cash I would put in my checking as a birthday gift or as a Christmas gift, whatever it was, I would put it towards my bank account, and then with that I would put it towards my loans. where I would save it, put it in my TFSA, get some interest on it, and then eventually use that money to pay off my loan. So those are basically all the details about my situation paying off my student loans, but I'm sure that the main part that you guys want to know is how exactly I just dedicated myself to it. At the end of 2019, or maybe the first day of 2020, I made myself a list of not only personal goals that I wanted to reach, but also financial goals. When it comes to my loans, I had in mind that I wanted to pay them off based on that timeline that I had gave you guys. If I had $24,000 and I made payments of $1,000 every 2 weeks, realistically, I could pay it off in 12 months maximum. I wanted to get it done quicker. I told myself, listen, try to spend as little as you can, try to do your best in not buying food outside of the house, try to get food from home to take to work, try to, you know, get a little snack or something in, that way you don't have to buy a lot of food outside of the house before you come back home. Just those kind of things. I also separated my needs and my wants. Like, do I really need a third cropped white hoodie in my closet when I already have 2? Do I need more makeup palettes? No. In general, do I need more clothes? Yes, I do. However, can they wait until a little bit later? The things that couldn't wait, I would buy them and I would try to get them off a sale. I'm very stingy when it comes to my money. I'm telling you guys, I have this thing called the SPC card, which is the student price card. This is something that is available in Canada. I'm not sure if this is something that is offered in a lot of states in America or in other countries in general, but this is what it's called in Canada. It's the SPC card, aka student price card, and essentially you can buy this for anybody, but only students can use it, and essentially brings you discounts to many different stores such as Urban Planet, Forever 21, Pizza. Different restaurants have different deals and stuff like that. It's only 10 bucks a year and you save more than $10 for the year when you make more than $10 worth of savings, you know what I mean? So I think it's a cool little card. That's something that I always try to do. I always try to look for coupons for sales, and call me stingy. That's basically what it is. Unless I have to, I don't like spending more than the required buck on certain items. For food, it's a little different, but you know, if I can get a discount and get the same amount of fries for $3 less because I have a silly SPC card, I mean, why not? Set yourself realistic goals that are meant for you. Obviously, like I said earlier, if you have rent, if you have kids, if you have a dog, versus if you're like me who doesn't drive, who doesn't pay rent, who only has basic bills to pay and takes the bus everywhere, your financial situation in terms of paying off your loans is going to be a lot different than mine. Just make yourself realistic goals and set yourself a goal as to when you would like to pay them off. Due to that, you can kind of tell yourself, okay, if I make $400 payments every 2 weeks, not including the monthly payment that's due at the end of the month by obligation, how soon can I pay off these loans? And if that set date seems a little too far off for you, if you don't want to pass the 2-year mark, the 5-year mark, the 10-year mark paying off your loans, then obviously you would have to do some sacrifices in between. Those little dollars here and there that you guys spend, whether it's on food, whether it's on clothes, whether it's on toys for your dog, you know what I mean? If your dog has 20 toys, does he really need a 25th one? As dumb as it sounds, every penny counts, every dollar counts. It will accumulate to help even just $100 off. Every single gifted $10 that my friends would give me just for giggles and shits, those $10 eventually from 10 friends, guess what? That's $100. Add that on top of like the fact that you're eating out less, that you don't have to pay your visa as much because you're not using your visa as much, because you're not taking Uber as often, or you know, use this pandemic as a situation where, for example, oh, no bus fare is required while taking public transportation. Fantastic. Those are $100 per month that I can put into my loans. You know what I mean? It's all about discipline, and if you really want something super strongly, you can accomplish it if you just set yourself to succeed in it. You guys saw in the beginning of the video, I was super excited when I finally paid off my final payment, April 29th of 2020. I don't think I'll ever forget that date. I was super excited because after all this hassle, sorry, not hassle, after all the hustle that I did in order to, you know, be strict about, you know, not eating out. If I went out to clubs, I wasn't spending on drinks. If I was spending money on clothing, I was looking for the best sales. I wasn't getting as much clothing as before. I was just very strict and stern about my spending, and I was also trying my best not to, you know, in general, just not to spend. But not only not spending, because even when I got that increase in my wage, that didn't give me more wiggle room to spend more. If I'm making, an example, $500 more because of a wage increase or because of my hours being 40 instead of 28 per week, those $500 aren't necessarily, oh, well, I'm comfortable at the wage that I'm getting and I'm getting $500 more anyway.
Let's spend $500 $500 every single 2 weeks.
No. Put that towards your payments, and as sucky as it may be while you're doing it, just it helps so much to just tell yourself, listen, do I really need this? Do I really need that? Obviously there's room for fun, don't get me wrong. I did buy drinks at the club every once in a while, but I didn't do it every single time that I went out. This is not a talk from a financial advisor. This is not a talk from somebody who knows everything about the economy of our society, or even like the financials of our banks, or this is not somebody who is educated at all in many of the terms that banks use. However, this is just a talk, more like a friendship talk if you want to think about it that way, from friend to friend, from somebody who successfully finished paying off their student loans to somebody who may be struggling to do so because they just don't know where to start. I hope that this does kind of help a little bit. Again, I'm not bragging about the numbers that I gave you guys earlier. I'm not at all bragging about like I finished paying it off in 2 years, but it's definitely something that I'm very proud of. And I even look at people who are younger than me who paid off their student loans way before I did, and they were in their study time way less time than I was. You know, it's all about your independent particular situation, about you. And one last tip that I want to give you guys, please, as much as y'all may be scared to talk on the phone, as much as y'all may be scared of sending emails to professionals and everything, please get in contact with your financial aid office, because every school is different, every institution is different, every province, country, state, county is different. I'm shy in person, but I'm not shy on the phone, and I actually love the concept of telemarketing. Like, I'll be the person that volunteers on my job to be on the phone answering phone calls all the time. But I told myself, listen, if I have any doubt in what's going on in my payments, or if I have no idea where this payment went, even though I'm pretty sure that I put it towards my loans, yeah, I don't see it deducted off of my loans, I need to ask where it's at. Make it a goal for yourself to get comfortable on the phone with your financial aid advisors, because they are the ones who can tell you what step to take and how soon you can do it. For example, I never knew that you could start paying off your student loans while you were in your studies. You know how I found out? Because my friend posted a picture on Instagram or on Facebook or something, and she said, I'm finally done paying off my student loans. And she was in her 3rd year of her undergraduate degree, and she wasn't graduating anytime soon, but all the money that she had needed for her tuition and everything like that, she had already paid off by her 3rd year. And I asked her, what? Girl, how you did that fast? She essentially called her bank and she was like, hey, I want to make payments towards my student loans. How do I do that? And they told her, you can literally just look up as a pay, you know how like you have pays for, you know, your cell phone bill and all those things. You can look up the financial institution that is taking care of your loans, such as in Ontario, it is the NSLC. I don't know if it's in Canada or North America or whatever. I'm just gonna say Ontario because I don't know how big it goes. You can add them as a payee on your bank account in order to make payments, and essentially you're making payments towards that loan via your bank account, just like you would a cell phone payment, just like you would send money to your mother or to your grandpa or to your kids or whatever it is. To be honest, the school program here in North America is all about making money for the big guys. It's not really helping the students much, and in Ontario specifically, we have the highest tuition cost in Canada, so you can just imagine how much money they're making just by simply not telling us that we can start making payments even while we're studying. Had I known that, every single time that I would have a paycheck in summer school, I would have put it towards my loans. That way I didn't have to accrue so much interest. So this is just a word of advice. Please get comfortable with calling financial institutions, even though it may be scary. Holds maybe like 30 minutes long, an hour long, 2 hours long, but at least you're getting online from a person who can see how much you owe and what are the steps that you can possibly take. That's one tip. Set yourself realistic goals and just really don't be hard on yourself if you don't make a payment by a certain time. I was lucky enough that I was able to get my payments done 3 months earlier than anticipated, but even if I hadn't, just keep going. Don't give up. If you give up and stop paying, that's even worse than if you just brush it off and continue paying. And don't think of budgeting as not a fun activity. Right now that I'm done paying my student loans, I'm gonna try to save up for a car and save up for moving out into like my own, whether it's apartment or anything, but see it as something that's fun. This is your money that you're putting aside for fun later on. So instead of that instant gratification, just think of it that way. Whether it's for retirement funds or saving up for the down payment of a house, a dog, whatever it is, it's a commitment, but it's for good at the end of the day and at the end of whatever long-term goal you have. That's pretty much it, guys. I know this was a very long video, but I know that a lot of people have been asking me ever since I posted that Instagram photo of me paying off my student loans, how exactly I did it. I went into a lot of detail, but for whatever reason, if I still left some questions unanswered, please feel free to leave them them down below in the comment box. I'm downstairs, of course, and whenever I do have the chance, I will answer any question potentially that you guys may have had, or maybe something I kind of missed altogether is something that you guys were very curious about. Maybe I can do a follow-up video if it's a big topic or not. And I know this is not exactly in the realm of type of videos that I do, but I really hope that it did benefit those who are interested in kind of moving forward with their student loans or with whatever loan that they may have. Another thing that inspired me was this girl that I watch on YouTube. She had like student loans of like 63,000 US dollars, and she told herself, because she's an influencer, well, why am I only making like the minimum payment? If I get paid like, let's say $15,000 every single month, why am I only paying 2,000? Why don't I pay 10,000? And that's something that kind of like, that's a good strategy to have. Why not pay more when you can? When you have that wiggle room, why not? I hope that this video helped whoever is interested in watching. Always strive to meet the goals that you set for yourself. But anyways, I am rambling at this point. But once again, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I hope that you guys really liked it and it benefited from it. And if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you guys are excited for more videos like this or whatever videos that I got coming on or so, make sure to leave your ideas that you guys would like me to talk about downstairs in the comment box below. And if you guys liked this video or just in general have explored my page and like what you see, like what you hear, so subscribe to the button down below. Like I said earlier, turn it from red to white and you'll be updated as to every single time that I upload a new video. And thank you again for your support. I'm just very happy that I was able to accomplish a huge goal for myself, and I hope that this energy, this vibe of just goodness is transmitted through the camera and is able to kind of touch somebody in order to be able to accomplish their own goals as well. Again, y'all, during this quarantine time, stay safe, stay motivated, stay active, but always stay safe whatever you do. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Happy quarantine payment off time. And until next time, guys, keep up the awesome, never change, and I'll see you guys next time. Dios me los bendiga. Victoria out. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. So for now, I'll sign off. And at the time of filming, I still don't have an outro for this channel. And so yeah, until next time, guys, keep up the awesome, never change, and I'll see you guys next time. God bless you guys always.